Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 17. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
Hi there.
How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm a bit tired.
You've been healing up after our little adventure over Halloween.
Oh yeah, I mean it got a little crazy there for a bit.
Yeah, what was it? You took a cement thirster down with an entire, what was that, an archway?
May have been more than one.
Multiple archways.
I mean buttresses.
Oh, that's right. When they're at that size, they are classified as war buttresses, I believe.
War buttresses.
War buttresses. It was terrifying and exciting at the same time, but I'm glad to see that you're back in tip-top shape.
Yeah, I feel much better.
Yeah, I took a specific strategy during that period of hiding in a corner and using bodies as a shield. I think it worked out pretty well for me.
I mean, yeah, Operation Living Shield was a complete success.
It was a complete success. I mean, not for the Harlequins that I used, but for me, great.
I'm surprised they were okay with that.
I mean, I didn't tell anybody, which, good thing we didn't just announce this on a podcast that we might have to do some... Anyways, some mind wiping? I don't know anything about psychic powers, but some news out in the grim dark universe of things that are coming to light.
So, Mont Ka, the second book for the new Tau, is coming out.
Yeah.
And like Kayun, the first book that came out, if in case you're not up with the news.
Yeah, I mean, in case you were in like the Eye of Terror and you just came out and you're like, hey, what's out there these days? Kayun just came out.
2 Tau books? But now Mont Ka, their second book, is coming out, and so the first book was more Shadow Sun focused, essentially like the new Tau.
And for anyone who doesn't know who Shadow Sun is, who is Shadow Sun in the Tau lore?
So there's 2 essential like top commanders in Tau.
Yeah.
Like of battle commanders, because obviously the Ethereals, they're like a hierarchy. The Ethereals are the top. Like they hold domain over everybody.
Yeah, we're not really sure where they came from, but
that's a little sketchy.
We're doing some research in the Brown Library right now. We're going to try to find something for you guys eventually.
But there's these 2 commanders that were taught by their most notable commander of all time, this guy called Puretide, who is like, he's like their like Sun Tzu, essentially. He's the one that wrote the book on war for Tau.
Yeah.
He had 2 students that essentially chose 2 different paths for combat. One, his first student, or his elder student, which was
Shredder, Orokusaki, who, no? This isn't Splinter and Shredder?
No.
Oh, okay, different. Gotcha. I'm with you though.
His first student was Oshava, or Farsight, Commander Farsight. He focused on Mont Ka, which means the killing blow.
Yeah, and we all know that character is the one with the giant blade.
Yeah, essentially what's called the Dawn Blade, which may or may not be a Necron weapon.
Yep, may or may not.
But yeah, he focused on this killing blow tactic, which was, high altitude, sudden impact drops and like striking hard and then leaving.
Yeah.
Whereas his counterpart, or is like essentially his rival, Shadow Sun, she focused on Kayun, which means the patient hunter. So hers is a more lure in with false retreats and then just smash them all at once.
Right. Which is very Sun Tzu-y as well.
And it is Sun Tzu. Like both their tactics follow.
They mirror
much
different parts of Sun Tzu's.
So like Mont Ka, Farsight, he broke off and became a renegade essentially. And then the third sphere expansion essentially happened. Since they don't have faster than light travel, because as far as the 40K universe is concerned, unless you're like as advanced as Eldar or like Necrons, or if you have biological technology like the Tyranids, you can't do faster than light travel without Psychers.
Yeah, because you need to be able to navigate the warp, which is basically this just ocean of crazy psychic energy.
I mean, it's like Event Horizon. It's a freaking hell dimension.
Yeah.
Like they're willingly jumping through a hell dimension.
They're like opening a portal. They're like, so who wants to be the first to go in the hell dimension and leave some flags along the way? It's like, I'm fine.
It wouldn't be grimdark if they didn't. They can't just jump through space, Jay. They have to jump through hell space.
Hell space is the only way you can travel in the darkest universe possible.
Of course. I wouldn't have it any other way. So when they do their like war, they essentially do these what's called sphere expansions, which is they expand in all directions because it's all they can do because they can only go so far. And
why go only one way when you're like, oh, we shouldn't have gone that way? Crap, we spent so much time just going this way. So they go in a sphere so they can pretty much cover as much ground as possible.
Exactly, because of their limited travel capabilities. So like the second sphere expansion was led by Farsight, and then he broke off from the Tau and became a renegade because of differences in beliefs.
Because he's a badass.
And things he may or may not have learned about the Ethereals. But then the third sphere expansion started, and this was led by Shadow Sun, his rival. And of course, like, he's now a hunted fugitive, and like part of this expansion is not only expanding the Tau Empire, but also hunting down Farsight.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is awesome.
Tau's got some really good literature going on right now.
So yeah, so this book, this Monka book, actually has like apparently some stories of like them meeting. So they do actually meet. This finally happens.
Like diplomatically or very non-diplomatically?
Like they're about to kill each other,
okay.
And then they're like forced to essentially align against these Imperial forces that are now essentially assaulting. So this is a second campaign book that not only has some Tau stuff in it with some Farsight stuff, but it has, from what looks like, some Imperial Guard stuff.
That's exciting.
And some assassin stuff.
Which is very interesting to see, to get maybe some more assassin data sheets, essentially, because as of right now, everybody that plays the competitive tournament meta will tell you there's only really one assassin that's used at the moment.
The psychic assassin, the Calexis, is essentially the only good assassin. But the cool thing in this campaign, something that's rumored, is that characters could be dying because these assassins are coming for Farsight, Shadow Sun, and their supreme ethereal Anva. So like one of those three characters may actually be dead in the fluff after this
perma-dead?
Perma-dead after this campaign.
Wow. And it's interesting too because like it's not really talked about as much because the characters are always kind of like in this weird flux in the codexes.
It's static. It just like remains static.
Because like in the fluff right now, there's also like a whole story about how like one of my favorite characters, Eldrad Ulthran, is dead. He was killed by Slanesh when he was like storming this black fortress on a planet. And like it's weird because like he's spoken about in the present tense in the codex in some ways, and then in some areas it's past tense, and then like we're not really sure what time and place we're in Warhammer. And of course you can make up your own time and place when you play the game. That's the fun of it, but it's always like kind of like what is now in Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, and they're talking that, you know, because we're in the 41st millennium,
right?
And they're saying that the 41st millennium, once all the 7th edition books are out, 41st millennium is over.
Ooh, so we're gonna move on to 42.
It'll be technically Warhammer 41,000.
Oh, gonna have to change all that branding. They're like, damn it, why did we do this? 40k sounded so much better than 41k. So guys, that's some of the news that's coming out in the Grimdark, and now we'll get into our Seizes of the Month. So this is where Andrew and I talk about our biggest missteps or mistakes that we made in the tournament scene or regular casual play scene of this past month.
There are many.
There are many. So I went first last time, so you get to go first this time.
You bastard.
Sorry.
All right, well, this is a bit unusual for me. For one, this is coming from a game that I did win.
Which is very unusual. Andrew, terrible player.
Wow, I mean, just rubbing salt in the wound there,
Sorry?
Jay. So yeah, we got to play in this tournament in the last month at Game Empire in Pasadena. It's in California. Really awesome place. Great group of guys and everything.
Very fun.
And if you know Frontline Gaming, the Frontline Gaming guys that run ITC and everything, they play there. So we get to see them and play with them, and that's pretty awesome because these are like literally the best players in California.
And even just outside of them, there's other groups there that come, and it's just like a really great ensemble of just several different play styles and just so many strategic minds in one place. It's just really fun to bounce ideas and armies off of these people.
Yeah, because they're all really passionate about the game and the hobby, which is nice.
It's great because there is a lot of community bonding there as well.
Exactly. So like we played, and this tournament was a once a year thing. Essentially, it was a dry run for ITC. It was their team tournament.
Yeah.
So it was 8 teams of 5 playing essentially a round robin style. You have a captain, you pick a champion who goes against their champion.
Who faces off against who, the other person picks a table. It's a pretty cool way of setting it up.
So Jay and I were on a team.
Yeah.
Automatic loss right there.
Yeah, automatic lose.
But yeah, we got to play in this, and I was playing my Mechanicus army. Mm-hmm. Robots and robots and robots.
Robots in disguise or not, because they are clearly robots.
I was like, they're pretty much the most conspicuous robots.
Yeah,
you
very
can
much
have.
so. They have like extra tubes just to let you know that they are in fact robots.
But yeah, so I was playing AdMech. In my second game, I went against probably one of the most destructive wolf stars that I've ever played against. It was Thunderwolves combined with Space Marines, Dark Angels specifically.
Ooh, Dark Angels and Space Wolves.
So like this unit, it literally was like two little piddly scout squads, like a Colexis and a drop pod.
Right, they were all there as just the ancillary to feed this monster.
Yeah, like there's like a random like dreadnought in a drop pod. There's a Colexis in a drop pod.
Awesome.
There's like a couple little artillery pieces, and then literally this blob. This
the Wolf Star, right?
I mean, Death Star to the nth degree. This thing probably cost like 1,400 points. It was 4 Wolfguard battle leaders.
Okay.
On
Whoa.
Thunderwolves.
All right.
So that's 4 wound guys or 3 wound guys, whatever. Then like, one of their librarian type peoples, the Wolf Priests, plus like a bunch of like Space Marine librarians. It was just, and then like 8 or 10 wolves. It was just ridiculous.
Jeez.
Like so much stuff
in one unit.
In one unit.
God.
And the worst part about this is that the majority save for this thing until they like lose like 9 guys and they're all really hard to kill. The majority save is a no save. So it's literally like
against a 90 grab shot army.
Grabs that are only wounding on 6s. Yeah, it's tough. It's my one saving grace was he did not roll invisibility. That was a
that was
draw.
lucky. Real lucky.
He was not happy about that.
How many die did you probably have? Far too many?
I think he rolled for 3 or 4 different psychers and didn't get it.
God.
So that was like, whoo, sweat off the brow there.
Thank you, Omasai.
Yeah, Omnissiah. He was on my side.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, so like going against this Wolf Star, I had a unit that I've been playing around with that I'm loving to death. These guys are called Corpuscari Electro Priests.
Yes, the Electro Priests.
Not only do I think they're one of the coolest looking, they have like they look like Rasputin from Hellboy.
Yeah. Just a bunch of Rasputins running around.
Just a bunch of Rasputins. They've got these like old style circular generators on their backs. They look freaking awesome.
Just super cool.
And a lot of people just like wrote them off originally, and you know how we feel about underdogs. I mean, we don't talk about those
that's
at all.
only the central theme of our show.
But like immediately people writing these off, I was like, I gotta look at these things. So like I looked at them and I was like, wow, these guys are actually really nasty.
Dude, Tesla Close Combat is the shit.
Twin Link Tesla Range and Twin Link Tesla Close Combat
Ouch.
is silly, and then it gets even better because they have Zealots, which means they're not only basically fearless, but then they get to reroll their hits with Tesla weapons in close combat.
Which is not bad.
But yeah, so like I was using these guys, they were essentially acting as bodyguard for my Warlord, my Dominus, to give him fearless, give him a bunch of protection, but to also be a really nasty close combat unit. Because once again, Cult Mechanicus, you can just suddenly give them all +3 to strength.
Yeah.
And suddenly that's like 60 strength 7 hits, and it's like, oh god.
I mean, if you did that to my like weak Peasley Eldar, it would buff them up to be monstrous creatures essentially. That's strength 6 at a minimum.
That's doubling out T3.
Yeah.
Like it's just bonkers.
It's not bad.
But I made a mistake. I made a really, really stupid mistake. I essentially thought that concussive from grav weapons. Now, once again, my C's essentially comes down to naivete and not being...
That's what most of our seasons come down to be honest.
Not being as familiar with the rules as I should have been as a veteran player.
Which is very surprising that we're not familiar with the rules of 40K, the most easily digestible rules of any game out there.
It doesn't have an entire like 13-page section just called special rules.
Right.
Now, I could be crazy, but I may have been thinking off of 6th edition rules.
Okay.
Because they made a bunch of subtle changes from 6th to 7th because 7th came out so quickly that like a lot of those rules I'm still catching up with.
Right. They dropped like pulled one thing out of Furious Charge or tweaked one little thing here, like,
or like made like one thing instead of affecting the whole unit only affect one guy.
Yeah, you know, easy to remember those things.
Yeah, so essentially that's where I'm coming from. I thought concussive affected the whole unit when you shoot something with it, and it does not.
Nope.
It not only doesn't affect the whole unit, but it only affects non-vehicles, and it only affects them if you wound them.
Correct.
You don't need to just hit them.
Yep.
And that was something that I was foolishly unaware of. So I thought, I'll hit this Wolf Star with grav weapons, and then I'll send my Corpuscarian because they'll all
be at Initiative 1.
They'll all be at Initiative 1.
This is going to be easy.
Destroy them. And it wasn't so, and he literally had like 10 guys that are all initiative 4 or higher.
You're like they're like looking at this. They're like, are those guys running straight at us? I mean, we're riding giant wolves. We're gonna kill them. Oh, they're running right at us. Okay, we're gonna kill them.
Yeah, so I rushed them in, and then my opponent informed me that does not happen that way, and I looked it up, and I was like, wow, I'm an idiot. And
I think I looked over at the table when this was happening, because there was just
you came over.
I think I came over at the exact time when this was going on, and you were just like, I am not happy right now.
You were like, hold on, I have to tell you how my turn was, and I was like, I'm busy.
You're like, don't talk to me right now.
I was very upset.
If you look into my eyes, you will melt. Like Ark of the Covenant style.
Yeah, I was...
Andrew's a bit salty.
I essentially just gave him not only one of my favorite units, but also
on a
Warlord.
silver platter, really. And Warlord, too.
I fed him Warlord.
Oh.
It was just like...
That's tough.
That's my C's, essentially, is like, come on, guys. If you're playing an army, read the rules.
Yeah.
Be aware of what you're
at
actually
least your
playing.
own rules.
At least your own rules, so you don't look like a complete moron when you give your opponent points.
Especially Warlord.
It was a gift. I meant to... did I say that?
Sorry. Hold on.
Do it.
Good.
It was intentional.
All part of your plan.
Anyways, Jay, what is your C's?
So my C's for this month is basically boils down to don't be scared by scary models. So what that means is just because a model looks scary and intimidating and just maybe did something scary and intimidating, it doesn't mean it's going to be like the uber shit, essentially, and you need to just be like terrified of it.
So you're saying don't treat it like a spider and say, that's a spider, kill it with fire, instead be like intelligent about it?
Yeah. You know, like strategy, like this game's supposed to have.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's insane, right?
You've lost me.
So I'm playing this game. So I am using my Harladar, my Harlequins, and my Eldar. I've got my Harlequins on the ground. I've got my Cloud Strike that comes in by turn 2, which is my 3 Falcons with 2 Fire Dragons and my Dire Avengers that drop out. It's a lot of fun. And in this game, is kind of the first time I ever got to play a Scat Bike army. I'm playing Eldar Scat Bikes, and man, are Scat Bikes strong. Never played it before, and now I get why everybody thinks they're really mean.
I don't know what you're talking about,
No
Jay.
idea, right? But my C's comes into play when, I think it was second, actually it might have been third turn, he got his Deep Strike in, which was the classic, I think it was a gate with an Archon, a Farseer, and a bunch of D-Scythes dropped in with D-Weapon Flamers to just murderate an entire Harlequin squad.
Oh, so he had some allied Dark Eldar to give them the no scatter Deep Strike?
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, he...
Sounds about right.
It certainly does. And he dropped in his Farseer, he dropped in the Archon with the 2+ Invul, he dropped in the massive, T6 Wraithguard with the D size that just melted an entire Harlequin squad easily.
Yeah.
And also this Archon with the 2+ Invul, I think they changed it from what it previously was. How the 2+ Invul works now is
Shadow Field.
the Shadow Field, essentially. I thought as soon as it fails one,
It's gone.
It's gone. Not so.
It definitely used to be that way.
So now it's, if you fails one of those, it goes away at the end of the turn. So even if it fails one, it's still 2+ involing for the rest of the shots it takes. So this whole turn, it comes in first, it kills all my Harlequins in one squad, which for me, my Harlequin squads are a big deal. They're a big part of how I deal a lot of damage. They're really nasty, and because of my Veil, they often don't get picked off too hard because they can keep their distance and they all have invols. But boom, completely off the board. I unloaded everything at this squad and I only killed the Archon because that 2+ invul took pretty much every single shot I had to take it down. But after seeing it kill so many guys, do so much damage, take so much firepower, I've got my Harlequins on my turn to charge in and kill these guys. And I'm like, okay, this is his Death Star unit. This is a really nasty unit. I gotta do some extra work on these guys. So my Shadow Seer rolls up psychic powers, and instead of using Veil, I decided to use the power that I never really use. I never use their secondary powers that I roll for them, because why would I? I'm always veiling of tears so nothing can shoot them.
Veil is so strong.
It's so good. But I was like, you know what? I gotta take these guys down. So I decided to use this power called, I think it's Laugh of Sorrows. It's meant to be like a focused fire that makes them take psychic tests and things, and it hurts pretty bad if it goes off. What I didn't think about is that he is a Farseer, and he's a better psychic level than me, and he's got all this Farseer crap, and basically he canceled my ability almost immediately. Deny the Witched it right off the table, and I was like, oh crap. Oh well, we'll see how this goes. I charge in, and my Harlequins decimate this squad. Because what I don't think about is these guys, the Wraith Guard, they have no invul save or feel no pain, and most of my Harlequins are just, with their caresses, are just ignoring their armor, so there's only like 4 of them left. They're dead immediately. And the Farseer, I didn't even think this through. I was like, oh, right, he doesn't have an invul save anymore because he used this special like Shard of Anaris or something. Not Shard of Anaris.
They use the psychic focus where they
can reduce the warp charges of any psychic power that they do.
If they get rid of their rune armor.
But they lose their rune armor. So he had no saves at all. So I like destroyed this unit immediately, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe I killed all these guys. That was great. That was awesome. Oh crap. I didn't cast Veil of Tears on my guys. And then sure enough, I think it was like only 3 scat bikes, like one unit just turned the next turn and just obliterated the entire Harlequin unit, because they're just, without Veil of Tears, they're just T3 armor with 5-up invul saves. Like 5-up invul is not great, and they just got taken off the table immediately. So I ended up winning that game just barely, but that mistake could have cost me everything, because that was, I think, probably the only whole Harlequin unit I still had left, and they still had a bunch of work to do. They had some other things they could have taken out and gone after. If I had Veil up, they would have been untouched and could have been wrecking really bad.
Yeah.
But I ran the risk of losing the game because I overestimated how dangerous this unit was, just because it did a really strong attack against my guys, and maybe because I'm just used to playing like crazy Death Star units. Like, oh man, how many Feel No Pain saves do they have, and how many rerollable invuls, and what am I gonna do? They probably have invis. Like, I'm just not thinking straight. So that was my Seize of the Month. Definitely just because the units do some nasty stuff and look nasty, really think it through. How much punishment can they actually take before you make some terrible moves like I did? All right, so those are our Seasons of the Month, and that'll take us into the mysterious, the informative Brown Library. Well, here we are in the Brown Library, and I think everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving.
It's very festive in here yet again.
Yeah, the Harlequins are setting up. We're actually... Oh wow, that must be they're actually cooking those gargoyles that you killed from the Halloween spectacular.
I'm not sure exactly how rock people's gonna taste.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be real tough meat, really tough to get through.
I mean, it's also, you can't really trust it, as Jeffersonian said on our forums.
Oh,
stoned
demons. Yeah, there might be a little extra flavoring with those demons.
Thanks for that comment, Jeffersonian 000.
Yeah, and I mean, what are we going to use to cut these things? I mean, what kind of steak knives do you use for stone demons?
Like a tile saw?
I guess so. I mean, look, there's weird weapons in this library. I'm sure we'll find something.
We're talking about 40K.
We're talking about 40K.
We can find.
They put weapons on weapons. I think we once talked about a laddered size chainsaw.
Yeah, that exists.
Yeah. So if anyone's new to the show, in our Brown Library segment, we usually take an underrated unit, tell you a little bit about it through our research here in the library, and also force ourselves to make a list out of it, which are mostly good. Most of them are good, surprisingly.
Usable
might be the better word instead of good.
Yeah, I mean, a couple lists actually surprisingly could be really nasty.
Oh, absolutely.
But this time we're going to do something a little different.
Something to celebrate the holidays?
A little bit. I decided to executive decision it and make a list that I thought of that would be hilarious and terrible.
Good. Both the requirements met by Roll to Seize.
In a good way? Question mark?
Oh, okay. I'm interested to discover what that means.
But so we're not going to focus on any real particular one unit this time.
Oh, okay.
Just as an army theme.
Just like Ghostbusters theme was.
Just like Ghostbusters theme was, like, just themed around Ghostbusters.
Right.
So let me set the stage for you.
Ooh.
So it's Thanksgiving.
What kind of theater am I in? Are these nice cloth seats, leather seats?
I mean, they might be at some point. It's in the warp.
Okay.
So it can get a little crazy.
Fancy. Fancy warp seating.
Like a soul seating?
Soul seating. Ah, I like it. I like it. Whose soul is this? Comfy.
Bellamy. Last comment.
We will right off the rails immediately.
So essentially, that you have this Thanksgiving feast. Everybody's getting together, and you got all these different. You get these 4 chaos gods, and normally they're at arms with each other.
Oh, a nice chaos Thanksgiving.
It's time to bring it all together, and just to celebrate each other's silliness, as chaos gods are. They're just silly.
If there's one thing I know about us, is that we're silly. We got to remember that.
As spoken by Kharn.
Spoken by Kharn.
So this list, I was like, let's just make it so it's all of the essentially Chaos Space Marine proxies for their gods.
Okay.
With their own unit, their own family, quote unquote.
Because they're bringing their family to the meal.
They're bringing their family to Thanksgiving, and the family in this case is a bunch of cultists.
Of course.
Because they worship, they worship.
Yeah, those crazy cultists.
But
Oh.
everybody decided to bring a turkey to the party.
Oh, okay.
So what do you do with 4 turkeys? Well, I mean...
Well, you can't eat them, because that's too much turkey.
No, I mean, and this is a 40K universe. So what did the turkeys do in the 40K universe? Well, you normally cook a turkey. Well, in the 40K universe, the turkeys cook you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's terrifying.
So essentially, this is what the list is. Silliness.
Okay.
You have Lucius the Eternal.
Okay.
He's essentially the patriarch for Slanesh.
Okay.
You have Typhus, the patriarch for Nurgle.
Okay.
You have Kharn the Betrayer, the patriarch for Kharn.
If he's at any dinner, it's not going to be a very good dinner.
He's like the angry uncle that just is like...
He drinks too much too early.
He's like got PTSD and like he's just like raging.
I've seen it all. And I tell you about this time that me and the demons were on the back of this falcon, and I was killing my own demons. Kharn, relax.
And then you got, Lucius the Eternal, he's more like the creepy uncle.
Yeah, don't hang out with Lucius,
like,
kids.
Come on.
Yeah.
Whereas Typhus is like the fat uncle that doesn't bathe very often, so he's like, no one wants to sit near him, not because he's creepy, but because he smells.
Yeah.
And then you got the last one, which is Ahriman, the patriarch for Zench, who's like, he's the one that gets them all together. He's the know-it-all uncle that knows he's above everybody else, and very verbally tells
He's
that
wearing
above.
like the nicest sweaters. Of course, these sweaters are made of people.
And blue.
And
blue and gold regal colors.
Yeah. He's pretty big on his own britches.
He knows he's above everybody else, and let me tell you, he tells everybody.
He lets them know. He does.
Yeah, so you got these 4 guys
who should never be in the same planet, let alone the same table.
But they're coming together. Chaos is about unity.
Of course.
It's not about unity at all.
We only got about 1 second into that idea, and we're like, nope, no, not at all.
And they all have their own unit of 20 cultists that worship them. They all have their own mark of the god that they follow. Because of course,
gotta represent.
You got a bunch, like the sex crazed cocaine addicts. You got, a bunch of.
They liven up any Thanksgiving dinner.
And you got a bunch of smelly zombie people, essentially the pig pens.
Yep.
They're all over the place.
Pig pen.
You got the jock bloodthirsty ones that just, they're just aggressive and angry all the time.
They're gonna put together the Thanksgiving football game. They're gonna get it started.
They just walk up to everybody. They're like, "Yo, fight me, bro. Fight me." And then you got
I'll bleed on you, bro. You want to get blood on? I'm gonna bleed on you.
And then you got like the regal rich kids that just like they're like really pompous know-it-alls, and they're like all doctors and all this other shit.
And they all bring their favorite book that you didn't read yet.
They're like, they're like, what are they? They're like hipsters in chaos.
Oh my god, chaos hipsters.
Chaos hipsters.
Wow, that is what they are.
They're like, I don't know about you guys, but I got this shiny ass 6-up invul save. It's kind of a new thing.
It's the shit. Didn't know if you heard about it.
It's kind of on the down low.
Like the shittier save?
So then essentially all these patriarchs are joined to all their individual cultist squad,
like the parent watching over the kids.
Exactly, at this giant dinner table, and then in come the turkeys, and what are
these turkeys?
What's a turkey other than a Helldrake, of course?
Of course. I don't know why I even asked that question. What's the only thing that's ever referred to as a turkey in the entirety of 40K is a Helldrake.
Hell turkeys, that they burn you.
Yeah, those are the worst things to bring to anything.
Unfortunately, all of them brought their own turkeys to the feast.
Oh boy.
And it's caused a little bit of mayhem.
That makes sense.
And that's the entire army.
Oh god. So wait, can you and it might just be my lack of knowledge with Chaos Space Marines, but you can mix and match in one army?
Yes.
Sort of?
A lot of them have restrictions with regards to who they can join.
Okay.
They're very chaos racist.
Yeah.
There's like extended family that they're not so okay with.
And they don't talk about.
But yeah,
we're looking at you, Abaddon.
Well, no, Abaddon's kind of like, he's like the one that brings them all together. He's undivided.
He's like grandma. He's like, guys, we gotta.
He is grandma.
He's grandma. He's like, we gotta be good this one time a year for grandma. It's just Abaddon is wearing a gray wig. He's also in a bright pink polka dotted.
It's got
sequins, a wonderful apron.
So he's the matriarch. He's the head of the family.
He's the head of the family.
They're
He's
all
grandma.
trying to please grandma.
Absolutely.
Getting together this one time a year, and then of course they all have to bring their own turkey because
They're trying to impress grandma.
They're trying to impress grandma.
Classic chaos problems.
Fortunately, they start burninating all over the place.
Oh boy.
So that's the entire army. Just 4 crazy kids and their bodyguards, and then 4 turkeys.
I mean, it sounds like a really nice Thanksgiving special. I would love, if anyone has access to thousands of dollars in animation, make that possible.
It's just called Thanksgiving Feast.
Which, by the way, is such as like it's a very subtle name for just a horrifying list.
What, Thanksgiving Feast? I think it's very,
Would you like to play Thanksgiving Feast? Oh, let me just get that out for you.
It's very enticing,
It is. It's a real welcoming environment.
It brings you in and then, burns you.
And then burns you.
And then, murderlates you, I guess. They're all competing to see who's the better,
who's the better one.
Cook and murderlator.
So people are eventually, as this Thanksgiving dinner goes on, who do you think is going to be the first to pass out from the Helldrake meat? Because Helldrake really, it knocks you out if you have too much of it.
I mean, probably Typhus. He's already got a little bit too much going on.
He's always about one weird step away from falling over.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a little hefty.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the hefty
He's probably
side.
had a little too much Helldrake, if we're being honest.
Too much Helldrake, too much of that, Nurgle rot.
Yeah.
Combined with that Helldrake.
Which is the stuffing. He brings the stuffing. It's called Nurgle rot.
He is the stuffing.
Don't eat that stuffing. Well, that's disgusting. Just thinking about what that would be.
Oh, God.
Sorry, everyone.
We're just going to leave that one. And then, I don't know, probably the...
Okay, now I kind of want to know what each of them brought as a dish.
Okay, so, I mean, he brought the stuffing.
He brought the stuffing.
You had...
I think Kharn probably brought the cranberry sauce, which we know what that probably really is.
I mean, yeah, it's blood sauce.
It's blood sauce. Let's be honest.
Lucius the Eternal, he just brought the booze.
Of course.
And drugs.
Oh, for sure.
Because no Thanksgiving feast is
complete
without
booze and drugs.
Booze and drugs.
Love you, Mom and Dad. But yeah, if Kharn brought the cranberry sauce, Typhon brought the stuffing, and Lucian brought the booze and the drugs, classic Thanksgiving fare, what did
Ahriman bring?
Yeah, what did Ahriman bring?
Well, he's too good for cooking, so he brought all the silverware and
stuff.
He's showing off his nice china set,
but he's like very hipstery, so it's like shitty silverware. It's like from a thrift store.
It's like, you may not know, but this is classic.
This is like classic silverware.
It's retro. It's from 30K. This is like Horus Heresy era.
He brings Horus Heresy silverware. That is such a 40K hipster thing to do. That's amazing.
Abaddon is just sitting.
And what's Abaddon's? Abaddon's got to have a signature dish, right? Grandma's got thing that she makes. It's the casserole. It is the casserole.
It's the chaos undivided casserole.
Which, too much of it will form a second eye of terror.
I mean,
you have too much casserole.
Everybody eats the casserole and they just decide that chaos is a great thing.
Yeah.
Then they realize it's terrible.
It's the chaos, they're in, they're out, they're ebb and flow, It's just a wonderful magical holiday event.
You say it's just a dish that's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and this list is called Thanksgiving Day Feast?
It's just called Thanksgiving Feast.
Wow, what a wonderfully cheerful list this is. I feel like we all got a little bit better hearing about it.
I mean, yeah, of course.
It's amazing. All right, guys. Well, that was episode 17 of Roll to Seize.
Yeah.
We'll be posting a new episode every month. And if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. You can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com or chat with us on dakadaka.com and help decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and model picks at partialarc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
Ironically, all of the Chaos Lords are like 30K veterans.
Wait, really?
Well, you think about it, the ones I just mentioned, Lucius, Typhus, Ahriman, and Kharn, were all captains during the Horus Heresy.
That's true. Were there previous lords? Were there not previous ones?
Well, they're Primarchs, I guess.
Oh, I guess. They're like Chaos Primarchs.
They were no, they had Primarchs.
Oh, they were Primarchs. That's right.
They weren't Primarchs.
I'm going to get this completely wrong every time I say it.